Hello everyone, my name is Vlad Wulf and I present you the Blockchain Developer Essentials series. In this series, you will learn the basics of what it takes to be a blockchain developer. If you don't know what a blockchain developer is, I recommend checking my video when I talk about that in more detail. So as you may know, a blockchain developer is a web developer, right? That means that you need to know some web development skills, and this is what we are going to learn in those series. You will be learning how to use JavaScript to make a web server, how to bind the backend of a JavaScript web server with the front end, and how to bind all that with Ethereum blockchain. And in the end, we are going to make some decentralized app examples. Very simple, but at least it will allow you to understand how it all works, and it will allow you to actually get going and learn. So let's get started. So I'm using a virtual machine here, Ubuntu, but the processes will be the same than on Windows or on Mac. So the first thing you need to know is why the heck are we choosing JavaScript, right? JavaScript is the main language of the web. Though the other competitors are Python, Ruby, PHP, but they don't really come close to the potential that JavaScript has. So as an example, on Quora, you can check that JavaScript is very, very popular for the web application. And the main reason behind that is that you don't need to learn a new language for the backend. Since JavaScript is already available for the front end, you can just apply almost the same principle to build a web server with JavaScript. Also, you can build a lot more stuff with JavaScript than just web servers. You can build robots, you can build desktop application with something like Electron, and you can build really a lot of stuff like React and Angular, at least the first one. Those are all JavaScript frameworks. So we are going to learn JavaScript simply because it's the most straightforward way to get into the blockchain industry, and most of the frameworks and most of the stuff you can find out there will have at least some sort of JavaScript API that you can call. You don't need to actually write in Go and Golang, the language, or no C++ or stuff like that in order to interact with the blockchain. You can do that with JavaScript. So this is what we are going to install and use for our application. So let's get started. So in order to use JavaScript on a server or as an application, you cannot just use JavaScript like that on your computer. JavaScript is a technology that was developed for browsers, and normally it works only in browsers. So if I go to my Mozilla Firefox and I open the console, I have a console here, so I can type JavaScript here, var test is equal 42, and I can console log test. I can do all the JavaScript programming, and in fact, when you are making the request to the server, so as you may know, a website is a HTML file with JavaScript and CSS dependencies that are being sent by the server you are contacting. So here we are contacting Google. So if we reload the web page, we see all the files that Google are sending to us. Actually, yeah, we see all the files that Google are sending to us. There are some PNGs, 4 JavaScript files, and a HTML file, right? So all those files are meant to function inside the browser. The same with the JavaScript. You see, you load a JavaScript file here, so you can't simply go on your computer and use JavaScript there. It won't work. But actually, we have a way to make it work, and it's called Node.js. Node.js is a client, a program that will allow you, an executable basically, that will allow you to execute JavaScript on servers and on computers. So if you're on Windows, click here, it will be rendered Windows here, and download the latest version. If you're on Mac, I suggest you use Homebrew to install it. Simply type that into your terminal and do something like brew install node instead of wget, for instance, and it will install node and npm and all the dependencies that you need. And yeah, for Linux we will go there because I don't really like using a executable. I prefer using a package manager. So downloads, if you're not on Windows or Mac, it doesn't concern you, installing Node.js through there, and you just copy those lines and install it, and also those lines to build to have the build essentials packages. So once you have that, you're good. You have Node.js installed, and the way to actually check it is to use your terminal or shell in Windows, and all you need to do is type in node version, and if you have a version, then it's good. You have node installed. Same with npm version. Okay, I suggest you install yarn. Yarn is a alternative to npm, and it's just it's just faster, and it has a lot of functionalities that I won't talk about here, but basically just remember, just try to use yarn. So you can install it with npm e or install global, because it's a global package yarn, and because I'm on Linux, I will do sudo, and it will install yarn. Okay, cool. So now let's create our working directory, a directory on your computer where we will be doing our JavaScript work. So on Windows you can choose whatever directory you want. On Linux or Mac, I would suggest making a directory in the home folder. So I made one called Wulf Tutorials. So Wulf Tutorials, cool. Now we will make a directory. Let's call make directory blockchain essentials 1. Cool. I will cd inside it. Now there's nothing inside the folder. Let's create some basic JavaScript files that will allow you to install packages. So you can do it with that with npm init y for yes. It will, if you don't put y, it will ask you to fill a lot of fields. You usually don't do it when you are developing some stuff or testing some stuff, so it's not important. Just type -y, and you can do I will do yarn init y. It will do the same thing, it's just that it will do it with yarn, and it will yeah, because I want to use yarn for my project, and you should be using yarn too. Cool. Now we have a package JSON. If I check the package JSON, I will see that I have the name blockchain essentials 1, the version by default, the main file index.js that we will change. I don't really like the naming of index.js. I prefer app.js, license, whatever. So now we will create a file called app.js, and I will use add_atom, my text editor, one of my favorite ones, here, atom dot, to open atom in the current directory. Okay, cool, we have atom installed. If you want to have the same theme, I don't even remember the theme I have, material, yeah, you can download atom material in there, install and download all your packages you want. And I will just quickly show you the packages, because I'm sure I will have like 30 questions on YouTube asking me which package I am using. So I'm using script to execute the stuff inside the editor, but we won't use it in there. What else? Okay, it's in themes. Okay, I had that. Atom material syntax, atom material UI, material, and those 3. If you want to have the same look as me, just download those 3. So let's get started. We have an app.js file and we have a package.js file, and I will just rename it to app.js, and I will just include a scripts. Well, before doing that, we'll just install some packages. So you have noticed that we have Node and we have npm. Well, Node will execute our JavaScript files. So if we do something like console log hello Vlad Wulf, we will do node app.js. It will print hello Vlad Wulf. Okay. So I don't really like doing typing node app.js, and plus you might need to start your node app with different like arguments. You can check all the arguments that you can provide, so that's quite a lot. So maybe I want to do some other stuff before launching node, like assigning a variable in shell environment and stuff like that. So instead of doing that every time that we'll want to launch our program, we will create a script, and this is fairly easily done. Scripts, maybe I will make it bigger, scripts, and we'll call it start. That's usually the basic scripts, the basic convention for starting your Node.js application. So node app.js. So basically when we will do npm start, it will do node app.js. So we will do yarn or npm start. You can use yarn and npm the same way, but just try to use yarn every time. Yarn start, well, it will do the same. Hello world, hello Vlad Wulf. So let's just check something out, but because I'm sure that there will be people that won't know about that. So let's create a script called Vlad Wulf. Vlad. And in that script, let's do echo is a shell command. Hello. So we'll do, in order to launch that script, we cannot just do yarn Vlad. Oh, actually we can. Well, npm Vlad. Yeah, npm actually fails. This is why yarn is cool. For npm, you need to do npm run Vlad. And if it's the standard script start, it will recognize it. npm start. So basically just use yarn Vlad, you execute that script, and yarn start, you execute the JavaScript file. So we don't need the Vlad script. We'll get rid of that. So let's install a package, because we can make a server with Node.js alone, but this is a tedious process. And we have a very good library that allows you to do it in a more easy way. And the library is called Express.js. So we will install it that way. We'll do yarn add express. Okay, yarn automatically adds the dependencies name to your package.json file. So if we do yarn add express, it will download it from the web and it will add it to the dependencies, meaning that basically all your files, all your JavaScript files and Express are there in Node modules. So if I delete it, so when you need to send your JavaScript file to a friend, you will send him just the package.json file and the JavaScript file without all the dependencies, because the dependencies can be huge. It can be up to 100 megabytes and even more. So you will just do yarn or npm install, and it will install all the dependencies. And you see how it's quick? He just downloaded it very quick, because yarn actually keeps a cache of all the dependencies installed. So that means that you don't need to redownload the dependencies again, and this is very cool. So let's create our server. We just installed Express.js, and in order to use Express.js in our application, we'll do something like that. Const, and you can actually use var, but it's better to use const if you don't change the variable. Const express require express, and const app is equal express, and we call express here. So if you don't know what the heck all that means, require, and if you don't know the basic JavaScript, just say it in the comments, and if I have enough of people that are interested by the basic JavaScript courses geared towards blockchain, I can provide that too, so it's not a problem. But here I will pretend that you know that stuff, okay? So we will create a basic route. Again, if you don't know what a route is, just leave it in the comment. I will use ES6 specifications, res and res.render. Actually, no, send. We'll just send a string. Hello, Vlad Wulf. And app.listen 3000. Cool. So now when I do yarn start, it will do all that, and it will create a server on port 3000. And when we will go to that server, it will send us the string hello Vlad Wulf. So let's try it. npm start, yarn start. Okay, the server is running. So if we go to Firefox and if we go to localhost 3000, because the port is 3000, we have received a string, basically hello Vlad Wulf. And if we check the developer tools, you see that we have received a response from a GET request to that route, and this is what we have defined here. And basically that means that we are going to that URL, and by default the line, the slash is got read by the browser, but it's the same thing. So if we do hello, and let's restart the server, because every time you change something here, you need to restart the server. And if we restart the web page, you won't have a response from the server because you need to go on that precise route, hello. And then it says hello Vlad Wulf. So yeah, I think I have gone through the basics. You have learned how to install Node.js. You have learned how to get a basic web server running. It's like what, 10 lines of code, even less. So now let's just send a HTML file, because we sent a string. Well, it's not very convenient. It's just a string in the body, if you can see it here. So we want to send a HTML file, right? So how would we do it? So we'll create a HTML file inside the public folder called index.html, and just put some basic HTML. Let's say h1 hello from the server. You have made your first JavaScript app. Here we go. Okay, and now if we want to send that index.html file to the client, to the browser, when the browser connects to our server, by the way, on the root, we need to use another function, and it's not send, it's send file. And we need to provide the path. So the path of the file is inside the index. So we'll just use dir name, and it will provide the directory name, meaning that the directory that leads to that file. So yeah, we can just console log that so you can see what that looks like. Dir name. So, oops. So you see home Vlad of the Wulf Tutorials Blockchain Essentials. So the dir name actually shows where we are, well, where the file is actually. And yeah, let's just specify the path of the index. So dir name, we are here. We need to go in public, and then in public there is the index.html. So plus public index.html. Okay, so now if we restart the server and if we go to the browser and we refresh, yeah, it's not hello, it's on the root. Hello from the server, you have made your first JavaScript app. So we will receive the same index.html file. So yeah, you have learned a lot now. In the next video, we will build more on the front-end side, so we can actually have some interaction, like click a button, send a request to the server will send you something back. And then when we will do the request, the server will actually contact the blockchain, but this is a bit for later. So thank you for listening. It's been quite a long tutorial, right? And yeah, join me on Facebook. I will be making a lot of announcements on the Facebook. Now it's kind of empty, but I will be making a lot of posts and a lot of surveys to see what you guys really need. So yeah, join me on Facebook, join me on Twitter. You can check the links in the description below. If you want to make a donation, I really appreciate that. But if you want to make a donation, you can use my PayPal account or my Ether account provided in the description below. And yeah, see you in the next video.